The following broadcast is brought to you by the iGolf Sports Network.
Golf Talk Live is sponsored by the iGolf Sports Network and Golf Tips Magazine. Here's Andrew to tell you more about our sponsors.
iGolf Sports is a live stream broadcast and media production company providing quality programming designed to attract the golfing enthusiast. And Golf Tips, the game's most in-depth instruction magazine, including reviews on the latest equipment, tips from top teaching professionals, all designed to help you improve from tee to green. Welcome to Golf Talk Live with your host, Ted Odorico. Join Ted each week as he speaks with some of the best in golf. This week's special guest will join us a bit later. But first up is another great discussion on Coach's Corner. So let's introduce tonight's Coach's Corner panel.
Tonight, I'm really excited to have Whitney Crouse. He's the co-founder and CEO of Bobby Jones Links. Whitney serves as Bobby Jones Links strategic and data researcher, key relationships manager, and idea generator, primarily working on their company's business, not in operations. He's a Rice University graduate, and he is a PGA and CMAA member who is an entrepreneur at heart. He's also a former member of Merion Golf Club, where he joined as one of the youngest members of this historical club where Bobby Jones won the Grand Slam. Also joining him tonight is Joshua Deal. He is the GM of Bobby Jones Golf Course in Atlanta, Georgia, and he's responsible for many clubs, and he will strives to ensure that it performs as promised and to your expectations as a club owner. His responsibilities include developing and executing the club's business plan, training its leadership, attending client and board meetings, and obviously making Bobby Jones Links resources, tools, and systems available to the staff, and visiting their club on a regular basis to make sure everything's running smoothly. And he focuses on improving the member and guest experience, which is all too important. And he also currently serves as vice president of the Georgia PGA. So please welcome my very patient guests, Whitney Crouse and Joshua Deal. Just give us a little bit of a background of Bobby Jones Links, how that sort of came about, and what was the thought process when you were putting that together?
Yeah, well, thanks for asking, Ted. Actually, this is our 25th anniversary of being in business. Steve and I started this company, 2 or 3 clubs in 2000. Had no idea where we were going, what we were doing. But like any entrepreneurs, we just charged forward. And we were affinity golf partners, and then we were Mosaic, and we added some clubs and lost some clubs. And then a wonderful thing happened in 2018, Ted. We got to help build the Bobby Jones Golf Course, which we're going to talk about in a little bit downtown. And I got to know the Jones family, and just off the cuff, I said, "You guys wouldn't mind licensing that name, would you?" And they said, "Sure, I love you guys." So off we went with a new Bobby Jones name, and it's made all the difference. So, and we've tripled the size of our company, added some great people. Mm-hmm. And here we are today having this great conversation with you, probably thanks to that special moment happening.
Well, I appreciate it. And it's always interesting. One thing about this business that I find fascinating is, you can look back and see all of the traditions of somebody like a Bobby Jones, what he brought to the game and how he inspired so many people. And you hear people like Nicholas and Palmer and many others that of that generation that all reflect back to somebody like Bobby Jones and how he inspired them to rise to the level that they did. So it's amazing. And then, now you see future generations who have been impacted by somebody like a Jack Nicklaus or Palmer or Trevino or whoever. Yes. So it's sort of an ongoing domino effect. One domino happens and it's just, as generations go by, and we're seeing newer and younger players coming in on the thing. So let's talk about, as I understand, Golf Course of the Year. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is a special honor we got. And I'm going to let Josh answer that one. This is his course, and he's the one who worked so hard to do this.
So how did that come about?
Yeah, it's, what an honor. I mean, we're a reversible 9-hole municipal golf course located in the heart of Atlanta, which is unique in and of itself. But to get a national honor like this is something we certainly didn't expect, but I'll always go back to, obviously, Whitney and Steve and the Bobby Jones Links team, the Helferson family, their vision for building this place, got us to where we are today. But what we try to do day in and day out is make an impact and make a difference in the community, and be recognized at a national level for some of the things that we've done within the community for public golf, inclusive golf, adaptive golf, junior golf. Mm-hmm. We wanted to offer a first-class experience for those that want to come and learn golf and see golf and can do it at a casual atmosphere. So for us, this is a great honor, and something we couldn't have done without the whole Jones family behind us, and obviously Bobby Jones Links.
So let me ask you a follow-up, Josh, if you don't mind, then, because obviously being part of, a big mission for what you're doing is to really be involved in the community, in your local community. So how does your course really differ, I guess, from a lot of other typical public courses? How is your experience that you're offering your local communities differ from what you typically would see?
Absolutely. So, within the Atlanta market, there's a lot of, golf courses that have been around for a long time. Even the old Bobby Jones before the renovation. There's so many stories of people that have come out and played that golf course and said, I played this with my grandfather, and it used to be $15 and wear a pair of jeans and, bring your six pack. One of the goals of the foundation was really, again, I use that word first class, and I don't take it lightly. We offer an unbelievable product, something that you'd see at some of the finest private golf courses around. And we do it in an atmosphere that allows children to learn the game of golf. We've got the largest PGA Junior League program in the state of Georgia. We were number one in youth on course rounds, which allows golfers, young juniors, to come out for $5 a round and come play the game. So on the junior side, we're covered up. We've got adaptive golf programs with the Shepherd Center, which is located right near us. We don't have a dress code. We welcome anyone and everyone to come enjoy the game of golf. And I think the community has really embraced us, and we lean into that. And it's a fun place to work. It's a fun place to come visit. And we take each and every kind. And I think all of us can speak to our different versions of golf that we enjoy, but we've got something for everyone at our place.
Let me just really quickly add something, and then Whitney, I have another question for you. That's a great point that Joshua, that you raised about really sort of making everybody feel at home in golf, because I think that one thing that if you can pull something positive out of what we all experienced through the pandemic, was a sort of resurgence, if you will, of golf, of not just traditional golfers and that, but new people that came to the game that had never played before, had no idea, what to expect. And their only really understanding of golf is what they witnessed on TV through the PGA or the LPGA and other tours. So for them to come out now, and maybe they're wearing flip-flops or shorts or, whatever, it's great that you're embracing that, because again, it makes them feel included in something that obviously we want to, we always talk about in this business, growing the game. Well, the only way to grow the game is really to diversify and say, let's allow everybody to play whatever version it is that they have. And obviously there's something for the traditional golfers, and there's something for, somebody else over here. But I think that we have to be able to evolve this game somewhat if we're going to allow everybody a chance to get out and enjoy this, because I think that would be something that, Bobby Jones, if he was looking down right now, would say, wow, I never thought that this would happen. And I'm sure would be very proud of that. Whitney, in 2025, there's a lot of, again, sort of paralleling what we're talking about here. What do you think, in your mind, golf courses and clubs really be focused on to serving today's clientele? Because again, as I just pointed out, it's really changed from what it was, 30, 40 years ago. How should they focus? Because, if we're going to be honest about it, there's a lot that have struggled over the last, 10, 20, 30 years because they've refused to make adjustments or changes to their business model. So what do you think, in your opinion, from what you guys have experienced, what are you seeing the trends, and what should they really be focusing on if we want to move this game forward?
Well, that's a really interesting point, Ted, because the pandemic boost, which is still with us, it's really not a pandemic boost anymore. It's a sea change in golf.
Yeah.
Right. It's the young people finally discover golf is cool. People are the work from home effect, technology. Right. And so we're having record rounds and record initiation fees and waiting lists in industry, something we haven't seen in 20, 25 years. So what they should be doing, what it's enabled them to do is reinvest in their assets and catch up on so many of these deferred improvements. So, the renovation business has gone crazy. Their improvement dollars in the clubhouses. So they should really be teeing the club up for the future, because we'll have another cycle again sometime. But it's really neat to see for the first time clubs have had capital to do these things. And on the programming side, as Josh said, everybody should be doing something with junior golf, whether it's private, public, across the spectrum. We all have a vested interest. And that really seems to be a sentiment that's now percolating through all the very different varieties of golf courses.
Yeah, and do you look at this as somewhat of a golden age, do you think, for private golf clubs? Or you're seeing that, they're having, I know years ago, a lot of clubs, some started to have sort of a semi-private,
Yes.
And that sort of thing. So they sort of dipped their toe in the sand, no pun intended for bunkers, but they were dipping their toe in the sand to try to experiment with that. So do you anticipate that this is something that you're going to see more and more a trend moving in order to sort of stay in the fray, that they're going to have to start making some other changes moving forward?
Well, I think they are. They're adapting technology. They're reinvesting the assets. So, our clubs, and I'm hearing all the time, whether clubs are thinking of adopting Top Tracer or TrackMan, some kind of entertainment or ball tracking system. The whole range experience has changed, so they're adapting that. They're adding more practice greens, more practice facilities. So that's really important as the game changes. But to your earlier point, for 20 years, since about 2001, it's been a real slog. And then 2008 happened. It was a double slog.
Yeah.
It was tough. And that's when a lot of clubs, I think we had 4,000 private clubs in the United States at that time, and maybe 1,000 of them went semi-private just to keep the doors open. And we did that. We worked for a lot of banks, and the combination of the daily fee revenue and the membership revenue. And now a lot of those clubs are flourishing. So going back to private, will it continue? I think so. I think there's really there's a vibe out there amongst all golfers, particularly young people, about how they feel the game, and I haven't felt in years. Now, we're still subject to factors we can't control, the economy, tariffs, whatever the crazy world's going on out there. But, I'm pretty, let me put it this way. David Pillsbury, who, as you know, is the CEO I've invited, I was at a conference with him last year, and he got up and said to the group when we were talking about this health and boom in golf, he said, boy, I would love to be 20 years older than you guys in the room, because we slogged it out for years, but I think this is going to be a very exciting time. Oh, yeah.
I agree. I think with the onset of technology and just everything that's going on in the golfing world. And, it's interesting because, over the years, I've interviewed a number of younger, obviously you can tell by my gray hair, I'm getting long in the tooth. So when I look at some of the enthusiasm, it's not just about the playing, but how they can make the experience. I mean, I've seen people come in with technology, whether it's an app or whatever, and they're saying, I want to do something to make this experience better. And they're creative. They've sort of gotten the creative juices flowing in some of this younger generation. And it's not just all about the technology, the rangefinders and all that stuff is great. But there's other things that they're bringing to the table in order to make it a better experience. I mean, you look at some of the Bluetooth speakers that you see them slapped on the side of a golf cart, and they're cranking out, the tunes and things like, you would have never seen that, even 25 years ago. And now it's like, if I'm going to be out there hitting that golf ball around, I'm going to have a little fun and listen to something, some good tunes. So,
yeah, right? Well, as long as they're playing rock and roll from the 70s, Ted, that's fine with me. Okay, that's the best music. Let's just put that on the table. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. Joshua, let me come back to you real quick. You mentioned earlier, about some changes to the course and that. So obviously there was some renovations and sort of a re-energizing of the golf course. What had to happen to be able to do that and to help bring everything together? So what were some of the changes that were made, and maybe you can expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, I mean, Whitney was a part of it from day one, so I'll let him fill in behind me. But really, I think the vision at first was, there was a golf course that had been around a long time that had bestowed a name like Bobby Jones in Atlanta. And, it had kind of gone into disarray and disrepair. And, it had served its purpose. And, the thought was, can we just give this a little TLC and turn it into something that's a little bit more fitting of the name? So from that, as we have all learned through renovations and projects of that, it went from city owned to state owned, and there was land swaps, and started with, we're going to use the old clubhouse, to now our 25,000 square foot clubhouse that's home of the Georgia PGA and the Georgia State Golf Association. There was 18 holes, and then it was 9 holes, and then there's a big range. So it was quite a process that Whitney knows eminently well. But really, I mean, it was a full blank slate project from where they started to where we are now. And, now we're a 9-hole reversible golf course. So we have 2 distinct 9s that was designed originally by Bob Cupp and then finished off by his son. And we play alternating routes each and every other day, Magnolia, then Azalea. As I said, we're home to those 2 associations that both serve the club professional as well as amateur golf in Georgia. Mm-hmm. A booming restaurant, the busiest driving range in Georgia. And I don't think if you asked Whitney or any of our board or even the Jones family at the time when they first came up with this idea, over 10 years ago, that what we look at today would be anything like what they imagined on day one, but filling the gaps there.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, well, what was?
Yeah. What would you like to add? Go ahead.
Well, it's just such a great story, Ted. And there's so many people that were involved. We're lucky enough to be the spokesman for you today to talk about this, but there were hundreds of people involved. And the course had fallen really on hard times. It was awful. It was the busiest golf course in Georgia for years. Mm-hmm. But the city wouldn't let American Golf reinvest in it by raising the rates. And they finally took their tent and went home. Their ball went home, pulled the tent, and Jones family stepped in. So they had to start completely from scratch, and which was a blessing. So what's there now, there is nothing left of what was there for years. And that club used to play 60,000 rounds a year, and complete scrape, complete new clubhouse. Everything about it is brand new. And then also, to add to some of the things Josh said, it has some features. It's an innovation lab. Now, that's kind of a trite thing to say, but we've got, I don't know if you knew out there, but we really don't have any defined teeing areas. Right. We have the long leaf system, the 8 to 1 to however long you want to play it, but there's just a number there. Unless it's a tournament, you can go anywhere out in that tee, and you and your buddies and tee off, just like in the old days in Scotland. Right. Very, very unique. It just people like, what? We have a Himalayas putting green. We have the Georgia Golf Hall of Fame. And maybe the most important thing is nonprofit. So, every donor, from the largest of Coca-Cola to many of the corporations, many of the Atlantans, donated almost $36 million unrestricted to do one thing, something good for the community. Yeah. And for golf in Atlanta. And that's succeeded wildly beyond everybody's imagination because of all these different components. I think, Josh, now what do we have? Going over 6,000 different kids in our junior program now. Wow.
Yeah, the junior program has flourished, as I said. I mean, PGA Junior League's one component of it. Between summer camps and after school, I mean, it's very rare at a public golf course you would see our Grand Slam Academy. We have 7 full-time instructors. And while private lessons is a small bunch of that, whether it's PGA Hope or PGA Junior League or ladies clinics or, get ready golf type clinics, they are all day long growing out there and actually promoting the game. And the coolest thing about that is, oftentimes on the private lesson side, of course, these are people that just happen to maybe live close, but are a member at a private club and they develop a relationship. But what we're seeing is, based on the fact that we're right there in the city, this is the place that people want to drop their kids off, right? And then they come to their program once or twice and then become friends, and they join junior league and they do family cup and they grow on through our program. So you couple that with things like PGA Hope and adaptive golf. We were home of the inaugural GSGA Adaptive Open at our golf course because some of the innovative designs that were put in by Mr. Cup. So again, I go all the way back to the beginning. Of course, we work really hard to provide a first-class product. The golf course and amenities are great, and they're new and they're in great shape, and our team does a great job maintaining them. However, that's only half the battle. The experience and being able to welcome everybody in the community in with open arms. And to your point earlier of how do we stay up with this new and younger time? I mean, we don't have a dress code. There's music playing on the range. There's, my head golf professionals, she has joggers on. I don't wear joggers, but she can wear joggers. And we understand, Mr. Crouse and Mr. Deal might want to be meted one way, but we'll meet you where you are. And if you're a younger crowd, we're going to say, good morning. Great for coming out to Bobby Jones. Can't wait to see you. Go make some birdies today. We can give service in our own unique way.
Right. And I think what's really, interesting about that is, again, obviously the diversity, but there's been I think certainly in my opinion, and I'm sure there's many that agree, but, kind of a change. One of the things that I've heard with a lot of students, I deal mainly with corporate golf and that I don't teach juniors. So I'd be overwhelmed if I come out there and there was 6,000 kids out I'd probably have a stroke or something, but no, I love kids, but I just, corporate was my forte for teaching. And, one of the things that a lot of them have said to me too is, I just don't have 4.5 hours any longer. And, I'm looking for alternatives. And I remember growing up, and I'm sure you guys remember this, you used to have what we would call like an executive style course where it was, pretty much all par 3, maybe a par 4 or 2 in there, but it was very short. And that's what I grew up on, and until I could get on to the bigger courses and that. So guys, and I'll start with you, Joshua, and then, Whitney, you can jump in, or if you want to go the other way, it's up to you. But do you see this as somewhat of a prototype for other courses, popping up maybe around? Like, is this something that you're going to start to see more and more happening around, not just obviously in your neck of the woods, but other parts of the country where they're going to say, hey, we maybe need to, and that's not to say we're going to do away with what's traditional out there or what's already out there, but maybe we need to also provide some product that's going to meet different needs that are maybe haven't been met for many years. What are your thoughts? And whoever wants to go first, Whitney, if you want to start it off, that's fine, or Joshua.
No, I'll wait. Maybe you can talk to the trend that's been sparked from here, but I'll tell you what we've learned. I'm a golf nut. I'm a PGA professional. I love tournament golf. I've been blessed to come play some of the nicest places around town, and I love that. There's a place and space for every part of golf, which makes it great. But to your point, I think the pandemic changed a lot of things, and not only introducing new people, but also Whitney mentioned work from home and those types of changes that came along. And what we realized is, probably 90% of our rounds are still currently 9 holes. I say that to say you can, of course, play 18 holes. Maybe you play it, with the 11 o'clock and the 1 o'clock tee time back to back, and you play some different tees. But what we realized is people enjoy getting out there, getting some fresh air. We're a very walkable golf course. So maybe in 2 hours, they get out there and get their golf fix. And at our facility, specifically between the driving range that has TrackMan technology, we have a 5-hole short course, we have a putting course, and then we've got Boone's Restaurant, which is, first class Atlanta dining. People are still spending maybe 4 or 5 hours on property.
Sure.
But in that amount of time, they are getting some practice in, playing 9 holes, having a burger and beer with some friends, and then maybe doing the putting course on the way out. So if they have time, they're still spending it here. But if they're like me and they've got 2 kids under 10 years old, heck, if I can get out there on
kids.
Oh, correct.
Thank you,
It's Sunday morning, and I said to my wife, hey, I'm going to go play golf, and I can jet out at 7:30 and tell her I can be back at 10 a.m. to start the laundry and dishes. man, that goes a long way versus
Oh,
the
yeah.
6-hour round that we all understand and enjoy. And, that's part of golf too, but we offer just a little different angle. And especially I think Friday afternoons to actually get out and play a nice golf course for 9 holes, it's a game changer. But I know this is something that we kind of stumbled upon with the pandemic, and there was a lot of foresight to it, but I think it's something that is matriculated throughout the industry, which Whit, I know you know far more than I could talk about.
Well, but speaking of kids, you can tell Josh has kids, Ted. He's coming from the closet somewhere in his house. He's probably locked the door and told everybody not to bother him. So to the bag room of one of our clubs, the trend. So the trend is I think your listeners would want to hear, which is really happening. And it's just not us, but Bobby Jones was one of the first of this, what I call this give back to the community, this nonprofit, wealthy individuals, companies, doing something good for the community. So it was such a success, and we're seeing others. There are others you've probably talked to about on your podcast.
Yeah.
Park being one in Palm Beach.
Mm-hmm.
There's one under a club that I played junior golfing called Cobbs Creek in Philadelphia, an old Hugh Wilson design. It fell in hard times, just like Bobby Jones, and the Merion guys are putting $200 million into that with Gil Hanse and Tiger Woods. A give back to the community, nonprofit. We are doing 3 others, believe it or not. And this sounds self-promoting, but the message is this: we're going to see more of this, and that was to answer your question. We're doing one in Naples for a very wealthy gentleman who's spending millions to do a 9-hole course, a new first tee facility, great restaurant, high-tech driving range. Give back to the community, nonprofit. All kinds of programs. We've got one called John A. White here in Atlanta, which is an old distressed 9-hole golf course the city owns. They saw what happened at Bobby Jones. The mayor came over and said, I want to do this over here. And so now we're helping them build a $30 million clubhouse and do that. Wow. And then finally, we fortunately recently been hired by Augusta National to help them with the patch, which is as the chairman announced last year, their version of Bobby Jones, in the sense that they're going to completely redo this historic municipal course because the city can't afford to. Make it nice. The highest rate will be $50.
Oh, wow.
So it's all these community efforts. You're going to see more of these. I'm hoping more people are listening, but it's a trend. I think it's caught on because, again, a lot of these, particularly municipal facilities, these whole historic courses, they can't afford to do this. But when you put the community give back, let's do something good for everybody, the donors show up. It's really neat.
Yeah, and to go to what Joshua, what you were saying earlier is, people are staying on the property. They still might be on the property for 4 hours, but it's not all out in the golf course. Maybe they're in the restaurant, or they're over in the putting area or something like that. They're doing other activities. One of the things I mentioned earlier about some of the younger generation that I've spoken to that have developed these, whether it be an app or what have you, they said one of the things that they wanted to be able to do was they didn't necessarily have time. They didn't want to maybe necessarily join a club or what have you, for whatever reason, whether it was monetary or otherwise. But they wanted to be able to get fairly quick access to somewhere that if they had a couple of hours that they could just pop in and play 9 holes, something like that was reasonably priced and that they could afford and do that. And I think you have to be able to do that because, I love, as you do, Joshua and Whitney, I know you do, we love this game. We've been around this game, I'm sure all of us, for many years. But at the same time, we also recognize that with today's world, there's a lot of other activities that we want to be a part of, grandchildren, children, whatever the case may be, and just other things, other activities. And to invest 4 or even 5 hours in some cases to a round of golf is not always, I'm not saying it's never going to happen, but you can't do that every week like we used to, growing up. First off, the population won't let you because there's too many people playing the game, but so you have to have some other products out there. And I really like what you guys are doing with that. And I love the fact that the community is being part of it. It's not just, hey, we're developing this and, come over here and play on our golf course. we want the community to be involved and interact with it, so it's something that they can be proud of, as well as not only you guys, but as you said, there's hundreds of people involved in the process. So, so I think I kind of have an understanding, but Whitney, maybe you could expand a little bit. What's kind of the difference between your approach, the Bobby Jones Links approach to golf management, compared to maybe what people might be used to? You've already talked about it, but maybe you could expand a little more.
That's a great question. Well, one is the name on our door, to have Bobby Jones.
Yeah.
What he represents. You know, when we tell people about him, our associates, our clients, they don't really know the full history of how remarkable the guy was. You know, and one of the things we like is his name's going to come up every year at the Masters.
Yeah.
And there's a Jones Award every year, so it's a branded and endured, and one of the most interesting people that I could talk about hours for, about all the different things people don't know. So the Jones brand has really helped us. But Steve and I, and Josh has joined us, we've had this family culture. Now, a lot of people talk about that in their companies, but when you start with 2, and now you get to 40, we are bound and determined to keep that family culture. And as we grow, and so far so good, we have some great friends that have the big companies. I mean, we're all friends in the industry.
Sure.
But when you're driven by private equity and you have these big portfolios, we can compete against that.
Yeah.
We can say, listen, we can be there more. We have more time to spend with your people. We have this culture. In fact, when we became Bobby Jones, to figure out how to do this, we went to the Ritz and Chick-fil-A. And through one person, a guy named Ryan Magnan, who had worked at both and now still works at Chick-fil-A, spent a lot of time and money with them. How do you create a culture that's sustainable of great service like Chick-fil-A?
Sure.
Right? I mean, I hope most of your listeners know Chick-fil-A.
Oh,
you can walk in there and a 16-year-old girl with pimples on her face is going to say, my pleasure. How can I help you? You know, their culture is amazing. And so, and that's the same labor pool we have. Card attendants, servers. So it showed it could be done. So we went to them. So we're working all the time on this through our leadership center and our 17 service standards. We have a huddle every day at every club and every department. We have a huddle in our main office at every 9:15. Everybody's on the Zoom camera if you're out of town to work on that culture, so that when we get to the client, we bring a little different feel and a little different caring to it.
Yeah, and that's extremely important, I think. And that comes to the question I have for you, Joshua, is what's the most satisfying part of working at the property for you? What's it like working with the people? And I mean, obviously Whitney's alluded to some of it here, but for you personally, what's it like for you?
Well, that's a great question. I think Whitney said it very well there, but you know, the tone is set at the top. Bobby Jones Links, our tagline is, we make a difference, right? So if that's kind of your North Star, as a company, then you go to the facility and you find your uniques and try to understand what that means for you. And for us, it's very simple. We make a difference in our community every day. We're Chick-fil-A. We're the great chicken sandwich. We have great greens and facility, but how do we do service our way? How do we do my pleasure our way? And for us, you know, I preach it all the time to our team. I was like, we want to have a first-class product. We want to give first-class service, and we want to have the most fun doing it. And I think that's the culture that we've built, that our team, we all love coming to work every day because we are truly making a difference, whether it's giving a junior lesson, whether it's getting somebody out on the golf course for the first time with youth on course, whether it's just serving the guest or serving each other. You know, I'm a big community person. I'm an extrovert. I want to be surrounded with my friends, and we've built a team of friends. I thrive in that. And I think our entire team has started to understand that we serve the guest and we serve each other. And if we do that, man, we're going to have a ball doing it. So, to me, every day it's not going to work. It's, man, we're going to hang out with friends and meet new friends, which is a great environment.
Yeah. And I think when you enjoy, you know, no matter what you do, but obviously, you know, I happen to be talking about golf here, but when you enjoy what you're doing, it's really not a job. It's, you know what I mean? And I know that sounds very cliche and we hear that all the time thrown out there, but the truth of the matter is when you have a passion about something, and you love coming to work every day, even if you're tired and the kids have kept you up all night, or the grandkids, or whatever the case is, and you're thinking, I don't know if I can make it in today, but then you remember, hey, I've got a great team surrounding me. I know that they'll help prop me up through the day when I get a little sleepy or a little groggy, and I know we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to help this client, or we're going to help these people over here. Then suddenly your concerns and your issues of the day kind of fall by the wayside. And that, again, is a testament to a very well run organization. And I think, for any company to be successful, it's obviously, you have to have a good balance sheet, and you have to have all these things. But the truth of the matter is, it's the people that make the company. And if it's all, if all oars are rowing in the right direction, all of those other things, all those bottom lines, all of those numbers fall into place very easily. And it sounds like you guys are doing that at Bobby Jones Link.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you. Well, the three of us on this call have something in common with all your listeners too. But those of us in the business, we're here because we love golf.
Oh yeah.
I mean, since I'm sure probably with you and Josh, it's been part of our DNA since we were teenagers.
Yeah.
Or earlier.
Oh yeah.
And starting as a junior golfer, as a caddy, and then I worked in accounting, and went to an office building every day in a coat and tie. And I said, "Are you kidding? I can't do this." So I left that. And became a card attendant on Hilton Head. It's the most fun I ever had, and I am so blessed. Nothing's easy, right? Business is tough in any industry. But to get up in the morning and be in the golf business, really, I don't think that's a cliche. I think that for most of us, it's a blessing.
Yeah, it really is. It's an interesting business, and you make a lot of great friends, throughout the golf in variety of different capacities, not just PGA fellow PGA pros or things, or other business associates and that. But there's nothing. It's very difficult to describe, and if you try to describe it, golf, to somebody that has never played, really, again, their only introduction is what they see on TV. And my sister, who's unfortunately no longer with us, but she was one of those early on that I just don't get it, chasing that little white ball around. And I finally convinced her to go out and play. And she just said to me one day after she got bitten by the bug, she goes, "Now I get it." So I just said, you just have to go out and have fun. And whatever golf means to you, that's okay. It might mean something different to me, but that's okay. Just get out and have fun. But yeah, when you can go in every day and enjoy your job and enjoy helping and serving your community and making them feel a part of it, that's the real, the success. And that's why Chick-fil-A, as you guys have mentioned, is very successful. It's not just about selling chicken and milkshakes, which unfortunately I've had too many of them over the years. But it's the community atmosphere inside those organizations. You go in there and the people are excited to work there. They're very helpful, and yeah, they're a great location and all over the United States and so forth. But it's just all about the community and sense of belonging together, and doing something to help other people. Whitney, I'm going to have you wrap this up a little bit, and where do you see golf membership, that experience, where do you see that going down the road 10, 15 years from now? How do you see that? What changes do you foresee happening based on what you're experiencing now?
Well, what will be interesting on the leadership side is finally seeing the millennials and the younger ones age into the group where now they're leading the clubs and they're on boards and the changes they make. The boomers are exiting.
Yep.
And I think they're going to bring a whole new mindset, which is really exciting, and which is needed, right? It's a certain time to step aside.
Yeah.
But I am concerned. It's great that the data on the industry and the growth is great. I am concerned that we're building too many high-end private clubs.
Yeah.
If you look at the NGIF data, they're wonderful clubs, the Hoopies and the ones in Florida, but we've got some irrational exuberance going on the high end, and I wish people were doing more like this community-type investments than for the uber wealthy. So I think there's going to be a correction in that. I think there's going to be too many of those. But the other private clubs, there's the 300 or 400 elite private clubs in this country will never have a problem. If you're Medina or Atlanta Athletic Club or Merion or Olympic, you're going to do fine.
And there's a market for it. Yeah, there's a market for everybody. And you're exactly right. And I've always said this, I would like to see, I grew up, my father, when, he taught me, I was, 6 or 7 years old when we got serious about it. I mean, he took me out to the driving range with him earlier than that, but we started on, again, what I call like an executive, public course. And, he took me out there and he said, I remember saying to me, he said, we're not going to go to the big boys course until you learn to, some mannerisms out in the golf course, how to respect, others and that sort of thing. And those were some of the best memories growing up that I had. And, obviously I enjoyed playing at the country club too. Don't get me wrong, but,
Oh yeah.
I enjoyed that process. And I think that that's what I would like to see. And that's why I'm really very interested in what you guys are doing, because to me, in a sense, that's really what you're doing, is you're creating something that is for everybody, and not just from a diversity standpoint, but at every level. I mean, from the better players to the beginners can really appreciate what you guys are doing and not have to have a huge commitment of time every single time they come out if they choose not to. It's really up to them, and or break the bank, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And I just love the fact that you guys, and that's I think why you got Golf Course of the Year, because you're doing something that people recognize that, hey, as you said, the change is coming. It's like a tidal wave, and we need to sit back and enjoy it and enjoy the fruits of your labor. But any final thoughts or words, Whitney? Anything you want to say to close off? And
thank you. Well, thanks for having us. No, I very bullish about our future as a game. On a personal level, I've had to move up to the white tees, Ted.
Yeah.
At 67, and I'm seeing a therapist about it. Joshua's hitting it 60 yards past me. But no, it's still fun. It's still camaraderie. So thank you.
Yeah, you're quite welcome. And Joshua, any final thoughts? And also maybe what you could do is let the folks know if they want to learn and get more information, if there's a website that we can direct it to. But just any final thoughts that you want to add to it, and then you can give that information for the audience that they can go and check things out.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll echo what y'all said about just the love of the game. I mean, I tell people all the time, I'm a political science major from the University of Connecticut. I thought I was going to be a high school history teacher, and here I am, the general manager and working as an ops guy for Bobby Jones Links at the National Course of the Year. So this is surreal, and I've got the best office view. I'd put it up against anybody. So there's a career in golf for anybody, and there's a space in place for golf, your version, that you can find. And I'm just happy there's places like Bobby Jones Golf Course that are out there to let people, again, meet us where you are. So for more on our story or our foundation and what we're doing in the industry to kind of continue pushing that ball forward, BobbyJonesGC.com is our website. And then obviously BobbyJonesLinks.com tells a little bit of some of the stories that we're doing around the country. But thank you so much, Ted, for the time. This has been.
Thank you. And again, my apologies for you waiting in the backstage, as it were. Again, I'll have to make sure I emphasize the time. And it's certainly I'm not blaming you, but I keep forgetting, I'm in Florida, and people think, Eastern time. And actually, I'm believe it or not, on Central time. I'm in Panama City Beach, Florida. And the cutting line is Tallahassee. So people always say, "Oh, you're in Eastern time," and I say, "No, I'm on Central time." Well, you're in Florida, and they don't get that. And that little, panhandle, as they call it, is Central time. And I think they should just get rid of it and just make it all the same. But that's here. So I'm on Chicago time technically, but so yeah, a lot of people get confused with that. So again, my apologies, but I'm glad that we were able to. I'm glad you guys stuck around and were able to wait it out. And I think we had a great conversation. And let the audience get to hear a little bit from both of you on a great organization and a great golf course out in the Atlanta area. So I'm going to make a point of coming out and visiting you, Josh. And I'm not coming on the day when there's 6,000 kids out there, though. I got to concentrate. I'm like you, Whitney. I got to concentrate on my game, and I need I can't have any distractions. So, but thank you very much. Much continued success. Congratulations again on being recognized. Well deserved. And thank you for sharing some insight into your organization. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ted.
All right, you guys take care, and
Okay.
and much continued success this season.
We'll see you again. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
You too. Bye-bye. Yeah. So let me just, as we were just getting ready to wrap up in that. So let me just wrap up. There was a slight technical issue a little bit earlier on in the broadcast, and I apologize, but for some reason, the earlier part of tonight's broadcast didn't make it all the way. Somehow the recording didn't take place. So Coach's Corner tonight and part of the travel segment were cut off, but this final featured guest tonight from Bobby Jones Links and the Bobby Jones Golf Course out in Atlanta is in its entirety. So we'll be able to see that in its entirety, and I will post that up on social media in a little bit. But I want to thank tonight's special guests. I want to thank all of them, actually, and I'll apologize at a later point to the other gang for not being able to get on tonight's broadcast officially. But I want to specifically thank Whitney Crouse from Bobby Jones Links and Joshua Deal from the Bobby Jones Golf Course out in Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you guys for doing all of you do, and just really appreciate it very much. And we will see you next time. So as I mentioned earlier, or started to say earlier in the broadcast, unfortunately, you guys probably didn't be able to pick it up, but we're on a new platform, riverside.fm, and we're going to be pushing it out to the YouTube channel and also the iGolf Sports YouTube channel, and also onto Spotify. You'll be able to get the video version of this podcast, Golf Talk Live. And also the audio recorded version will be uploaded to Spreaker.com, and obviously will be played out in all of the other audio podcast areas. But wherever you're listening to podcasts, whether it be iTunes and Spreaker, as I mentioned, all of the previously aired podcasts for Golf Talk Live, we're in season 13 now, and all the archives were moved to Spreaker.com. So you can go there, search Golf Talk Live, and also my other broadcast that I do with Cindy Miller, who is an LPGA professional, on Tuesday mornings, Women of Golf. You can also get them there on Spreaker.com. So you can just either check and type in Women of Golf or Golf Talk Live, and that will take you to the archive section, and the most recent episodes will be uploaded as well, and you'll see them right there at the top. So go to the iGolf Sports YouTube channel, and then also go to Spotify to get the video version of Golf Talk Live and the Women of Golf. But I want to thank everybody, that special guests, and all of you for tuning in each and every week. I'm really, really excited about season 13, and had a few glitches in the starting off with the first two shows, but we'll get it worked out. But I really want to appreciate and say thank you to all of you for tuning in and being so supportive over the years. And on that note, I will see you next week right here on Golf Talk Live. God bless everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast of Golf Talk Live. We'd like to thank this week's Coach's Corner panel, and a special thank you to tonight's guest. Remember to join Ted every Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Central on Golf Talk Live. And be sure to follow Ted on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're interested in being a guest on Golf Talk Live, send Ted an email at ted.golftalklive@gmail.com. This has been a production of the iGolf Sports Network.